All right, hey guys. Obviously, preparation for our next game in the Big Ten tournament here versus Indiana. And they're obviously playing really, really well here. And, you know, have had moments, I think you look at large sections of the season and some of their wins, but most importantly for us right now, they're as we prepare for them, they're playing exceptionally well. Morgan has played like a man possessed. He really has. He's played like a senior who was, an all-league performer. He just has played like a man possessed. I mean, he has been everywhere. And I think it's not just him. Smith has obviously had big games. Green's played very well. Obviously, Langford is a special talent, and he's played exceptionally well. And I think Fennessy, in a lot of ways, has given them great stability at the point guard position. Durham has played well at times, so they've got good depth. A couple guys I think that were injured, and are back now. Obviously, it's a group that's Archie's done a great job. It's a group that's playing very well. So, great challenge for us. Kaleb, as I mentioned, is back, when we played them last time, one of the things I was just really impressed with was with Indiana was their ability to really guard and be active, particularly in the half court. I noticed that preparing for them last time, and they've even ratcheted that up again with their length and size and athleticism. They're really, really connected defensively, and impacting things, and their numbers have improved. It's good to obviously have Kaleb back. He played, did some good things over there, but we're certainly going to need more out of him, as well as all of our guys, because we were fortunate to get that one there. They missed some shots that I'm sure they'll probably make.
Chris, you've talked a lot about how Kaleb and Andre both are very emotional players. With Kaleb, when he hasn't played in 3 games, and I'm sure has heard about the impact that his absence has had on your team, like, are you on a heightened level of alert for over-emotional Kaleb, and how do you, try to get ahead of that in these next couple of games where you play?
No caffeine for the next 3 days for sure for him. I think he's got to be Kaleb. He's just got to be Kaleb. I think I am aware of that, and it's unique. I've never been in a situation, whether it's an injury or suspension, never been in a situation where you lose a guy and then he comes back right for the conference tournament. It's just kind of a unique situation. So I don't really have a playbook for kind of what that's going to look like, other than he's just got to be Kaleb, and he's got to find a way to impact the game on both ends. I think it's important for him and for us to not have a false sense of, okay, we know how good Indiana is. It's now that Kaleb's back, everything's fine. We've got to play well, and Kaleb has to help his team play well now that he's back, and that's the bottom line.
And the 3 games you guys didn't have him, you had the worst effective field goal percentage in the country.
Thank you.
I had a feeling maybe you might have known that.
Yeah.
I know everything you build in your offense revolves around him, but even just sort of absent of that, did you sense at all guys trying to overcompensate for the fact that you didn't have 14 points on the floor? And do you think that might have led to that number being a little lower than what it was?
A little bit, yeah. I think a little bit. I think that led to some inefficient nights. I think, you got to understand we were not a great offensive team before that. We were kind of work in progress when it comes to that. So, if you looked at our numbers before that, they were in the bottom third of the league. Yeah. So it's always been something, Doug, that I've been trying to work and figure out, what we can do as a coaching staff better, what I need to do better in those situations. So I think it was a byproduct of, hey, it's a team that has had some offensive struggles, and then we also played some good defensive teams. And I think Purdue, Northwestern, and obviously Indiana's in that boat. Purdue, Northwestern, Wisconsin are all top 5 or 6 in the league in defense, and we just struggled. We just struggled really.
You mentioned on the teleconference yesterday that Caleb's been doing conditioning and whatnot, but I'm curious, what else has he been able to do in practice? Obviously, he wasn't playing, so are you using him scout team?
Yeah.
You know, where does he kind of sit in terms of coming back and being familiar with everything you guys have done?
Well, he's been with us, and that's why I've kind of had him with us. So everything that we've done, he's been a part of, and he was on scout team, and he was doing additional workouts in the morning with Coach Q. So he was doing 2 workouts a day. He was doing a morning workout that was required, as well as practice, and then some post-practice conditioning. So we've obviously scaled back on that, given the fact that we play on Thursday. But we'll see. There's no, there's nothing we can really do to replicate fully the game pace, the game speed. So I do think wind may be a concern. It's something I'm going to try to monitor closely. And he's going to have to play through a little bit of it too. He's going to play through some fatigue.
Your players have talked about embracing Kaleb and wanting him back and keeping him back. As a coach, when you have a guy that gets suspended at the point of the season, do you have to be on alert a little bit for guys, I don't know if it's resentment or whatever, but being upset at a guy who is not there for them at a key part of the season? Do you have to watch for that as a coach?
Yeah, but I think, listen, what do you do when you get angry with your wife? I mean, don't tell me, but, like.
It was her birthday yesterday, nothing.
Okay, so you talk it through, you have a conversation, you don't let that build to resentment. When you're a part of a situation where you care about people, then those kind of conversations need to be real honest and authentic and real, and that's my expectation that has happened. If there are some things, and I'm sure there probably have been, but we've done as much as we can to put it behind us. But I think those conversations have happened.
And does some of that come from recruiting a certain type of personality, a certain type of kid? When you talk about like wanting to build your program here, is that part of what you look for guys that can handle a situation like this in that way? Is that part of the makeup of what, when you talk about wanting to get Buckeyes, like is that part of what
it's different. I think, adults tend to look at these things differently than players and teammates, and young people in general. So, I just think that they have their feelings on it. We have our feelings. We've talked about it. We put it behind us. I think it's been a learning experience for everybody, and we're moving on.
Non-Caleb related, but switching to postseason play, just the mentality of win and go home, that type of thing. How do you get your team to flip that switch, given you've gone through a whole season where there's always a next game to build on things?
Yeah, I think we're just focused on doing our best to play, to be our best, and to play our best, and to focus in on as small of segments as we can in terms of our play, and not think in terms of grand a scale. We're trying to figure out, how do we play well in this opening stretch of the game, and obviously that takes great preparation. So beyond that, I think the unspoken is always there. Guys understand what tournament play is all about, and if we don't have great preparation and play with tremendous urgency, then it'll be a short stay.
The tournament aspect, like the pressure is there, obviously, the importance is obviously there. Do you coach into them or spend some time allowing them to have some fun fun, realizing how much fun this time of year is supposed to be?
Yeah, I think we're, you talking about in Chicago or just?
In Chicago, if you make it into the big dance?
Yeah,
obviously.
absolutely. I think that, it's, believe it or not, these situations can be stressful for kids, and they know what's all going around them and all of that. It can be stressful, so I think you are trying to minimize that as much as possible. Part of that is having an enjoyable experience and realizing that this is a game we're playing and we're doing it together, and it's a choice we make. And but you hope that also guys understand that part of the fun is working through some of this stuff together and then seeing the rewards of that together. That is part of the fun, and I think that's a process that our guys have to continue to understand.
Do you think they've been pressing?
Perhaps, along with what Bill said, I think everybody in some ways probably trying to do a little bit more, and that happens when you struggle. And I think certainly we saw it on Sunday where we pressed a little bit in the stretch of the second half. And I think it's just guys trying to make a play and trying to, we talk a lot about hitting singles, and that's hard for young people to understand because it's much more fun to hit home runs.
Is there any benefit to finding out that Kaleb was gonna play yesterday and instead of maybe tomorrow, so you got some extra time in game plan for him being in the rotation?
I think you're saying for us or for
Yeah,
Indiana?
For you.
I think we had a pretty good idea when he was going to be returning, so it didn't impact necessarily us in a whole lot of ways. As much as anything, I just wanted to say it yesterday just to kind of get it behind us so we could move forward.
Chris, you had said after the Wisconsin game that you were trying to avoid big picture, looking
Yeah.
at the big picture. Have you been able to successfully do that, considering that this matchup in many ways looks like sort of a play-in game?
Yeah, I think we're not immune, right? We're not, people have TVs and these things are as,
Plus you have to talk to us.
Yeah, so you guys like to constantly remind me of our scenario, which is something I've really appreciated over the last couple of weeks. Listen, it's part of it. I think everybody gets it, everybody understands it. But again, I think as much as possible, my job is just to get our team as prepared as they can to play as aggressive as possible, and understanding what playing more possessions of good basketball looks like. And that's really it. The other stuff, just honestly, Lori, we don't have a lot of long-standing conversations about it because I just think it's a distraction. How do we just find a way to play a few more possessions of good basketball? That's our job as coaches, to prepare our guys as well as possible for that. I don't think really conversations outside of that help that cause.
I hate to ask another big picture question then, but you in Indiana, the past couple of years, the games have been close.
Yeah.
It seems like the times that you've met have always been sort of crucial times, and now that you're here in an 8-9 game, is there a reason for that it seems like your matchups have been so dramatic?
Yeah, I don't know. Good question. 3 times, we played 3 times in the last 2 years. 2 of them really have been the flip of the coin. They really, we could be sitting here honestly and be looking at having lost the last couple. They really have. Our guys have made a couple plays down the stretch that have been the difference. So I don't know. I don't know why necessarily the games have the last 2 games have been close. I'm not quite sure on all that. I think both teams maybe play a similar style. I'm not sure.
Is this, you wanted to win Sunday, you didn't win, but is this team at any different place today
because you didn't lose by 20, because you came back and you did all that, is there anything of that is something you can point to or a carryover of that?
Yeah, I've thought about that, and I hope so. It certainly would have, I think, been hard to have lost, 3 consecutive games by double figures. Just when your team is already a little bit, can be a little bit, it's certain, young and maybe, some would say the time's fragile. So I think that would have been difficult. I think hopefully what we can hang on to is, we had some really good stretches in the Wisconsin game, some early, a lot late, not as much in the middle, and hang on to that, try to build from that and build off of that. You certainly would have preferred to feel the win and the momentum that creates. But it's on us to create that momentum on Thursday.
What have you and the rest of the coaches done to try and get Luther out of the funk he's been in for about a month now?
Just kept working. Done a lot of skill work with him. Just continue to work with him. Continue to watch film with him. Continue to show him what good shots look like. I think he's got to let it come to him a little bit more. Continue to impact the game in ways that he can. I think he's pressed a little bit at times, but that's kind of what we've done with him.
Down that stretch, again, you had a lineup that was working and you wrote it.
Yeah.
How much is like the mental coaching of that, of just don't mess this up, I'm sure you're trying to figure out, do I want to put this guy or that guy?
Right.
Like, what are those conversations or those debates like as far as riding a lineup that was doing so well for you?
Well, I did have a couple of the guys ask me, Adam, about subbing someone in late. I can't remember if it was regulation or overtime. Might have been overtime. We just said we were going to roll with that group because we felt like they were defending well and playing well together. And I thought our seniors there, particularly the last 10 minutes, were really playing like seniors in terms of just really, really hungry. So it was a pretty easy call. You worried a little bit about fatigue, but we've done that some this year where we just kept the lineup in. I think we did that against like Creighton late, where we just kept them in the last 5 minutes because they were playing well.
When you have a lineup like that that's playing well, and you have a guy like Musa in the middle of that who's not contributed a lot as of late, at least in the games, what does that do for a guy like that? And what were you seeing from him that wasn't able to be one of those guys?
Well, we had talked going into the game that we did not have a great matchup for Iverson. And so we talked to him prior to the game about the importance that he was going to be. We just didn't have we didn't have a great matchup for Iverson. And obviously Iverson had a good day, but we kind of challenged him with, we need you in this moment. I thought he did some good things on both ends.
Regarding the reintegration of Kaleb into the offense, and how do you balance micromanaging that versus letting him get his footing over 6, 7, 8 minutes?
Yeah, I think we'll kind of play that. It'll be a bit of a feel thing, depending on the circumstances of the game and how he looks like he's doing. The one thing about they've got 2 very athletic bigs that they're playing and 2 mobile bigs that they're playing, and the big fella off the bench has done a really good job for him as well. So he's got to manage their mobility, and he's got to we've got to get a feel for how he does in the first stretch of the game and see what his conditioning is like, and we'll kind of go from there. Okay, thanks.